So my card filled up and the camera cut off at that moment because the storage system isn't capable of switching itself. But never mind, that was opportune. So let's watch. Is mind distinct from body? Well, if you think what it is, it's obvious. That's what I like, because Philosophy Overdose doesn't have these awful ads.
Although French, he chose to live most of his life in Holland, where religious tolerance allowed him to work in peace. He would often stay in bed for most. The philosopher who most focused attention on the mind-body problem was René Descartes. Born in France in 1596, Descartes was a leader in the new science of his era, later called the Scientific Revolution. He invented analytic geometry, and following the lead of Galileo, tried to set the physical sciences on a firm foundation of mathematical laws. Descartes is a perfect example of the philosopher as a solitary thinker. Although French, he chose to live most of his life in Holland, where religious tolerance allowed him to work in peace. He would often stay in bed for most of the morning, pursuing ideas.
He writes his meditations, he says, when he has no passions and no jobs, utterly, he says, with no involvements and no concerns, and then he can think philosophy and really get it right about reality.
In Descartes' era, skepticism, or casting doubt on everything, was fashionable. In one famous meditation, Descartes posed every skeptical argument he could against the possibility of knowing anything for certain. Then he concluded that there was one thing he could know beyond any doubt.
I noticed that whilst I thus wished to think all things false, it was absolutely essential that the I who thought this should be someone. And remarking that this truth, I think, therefore I am, was so certain and so assured, that all the most extravagant suppositions brought forward by the skeptics were incapable of shaking it. I came to the
Some other time. Diddly dog, people who are above Christmas. She's lovely. I want 2 minutes 14 of Astra DB Cassandra without the pain.
It's the start of November, and that's the third Christmas advert I've seen today. Is it festive, or is it just capitalism? Is it...
I'm not going to rip off her video. That's me, I've done my review. Well, I was going through that list of stuff, but the video's cut in half now and I can't join two videos together because I don't have the computational resources on this 4 gigabyte dual core AMD CPU. Goodness knows how many. I can't just paste one video after another. That's all I want to do. I want to say cat video1.vid space video2.vid greater than video.vid. but I can't, because that's fucking witchcraft that you can't do on 4 gigabytes of memory and 2 AMD cores and Windows 10. I was going to go through the whole lot. I don't have the stomach for it now. I'm tired and sick, and I got a message from my father the other day, 2 messages, one saying, oh, we've got a backup disk that you're, he didn't say where he got it from, a backup disk of my computer that I had in Cambridge, and he found the thing I wrote about climbing Kondoriri with Isabel Supe, and did I want a copy of it? Well, I've got a copy of it. But I told him that there were a lot of photographs. I sent my daughter Amazon her 64 gigabyte in 2011, I think. I sent her a 64 gigabyte thumb drive to back up my photos and stuff in case that disk went down. And maybe that's what my parents have got. I don't know. My father, I told him all that, and my father didn't reply to that message. He replied to the other one, which the other one he sent me was, oh, we're so sorry to hear you've been injured. Don't you think you should get some medical help? And I said, well, I'm fine. I said, maybe that they read it on my blog. And so I said, well, my blog has 10,000 entries on it, which is not actually true, because now it's up to 10,244. But hell, what's 244 between 10,000? And I said, well, maybe it was an old one when I got cut on the street in Cochabamba 3 years ago. And he didn't reply, so that's the state of the communication I have with my parents. My daughter doesn't reply to any messages. My father says that she, in due course, I'm sure she will speak to you or something. And none of my other relatives talk. Or my godmother came to visit me, and it was distinctly unpleasant. She took me out for an extremely expensive pub lunch in St. Albans. And we talked for a couple of hours, and it was like being grilled by the Spanish Inquisition, because she had to get everything out of me so that she could go back and tell my parents. Well, I didn't think that she should expect to know, over a decade, to find out what happened to me over a decade. And there are 1,300 videos on my YouTube channel, and there are 10,300 entries on this blog, and 4,000 or 5,000 on the other blogs. So that's about 15,000 blog entries. And then there's the crap that I've written, which she said you hadn't read any of. And we just said our goodbyes, and that's fine by me. Oh, I'm tired, and I've had enough.